Number 10. Burning Borders, Cambodia, 2026, and the conflict no one dares to mention. In the arid Dangrek Mountains, where the border between Cambodia and Thailand is marked only by faint lines drawn on a 1907 map, the sound of gunfire is no longer rare. From 2024 to 2026, a series of minor clashes between the border forces of both countries took place with little media coverage, but tensions exploded into the most serious outbreak in decades on July 24, 2025. Fighting raged for months along the 500-mile border, leaving hundreds dead and forcing more than 500,000 people on both sides to flee their homes. As of January 15, 2026, 141,000 Cambodians still had not returned to where they once lived. At Preah Vihear, the ancient temple perched more than 1,600 feet above the plains, the conflict tore through a cultural symbol. Cambodia sent an emergency report to UNESCO after several parts of the temple were damaged by shelling and shockwaves. The bitter truth is that the area around the temple remains disputed, despite the International Court of Justice ruling in 1962 that the temple belongs to Cambodia. It's not about territory, it's about national memory, said a Phnom Penh official, and that memory is being shot through. The crisis escalated when Thailand deployed F-16Es for airstrikes on Cambodian positions for the first time in years. On December 7th to 8th, 2025, battles with B-40 rockets, machine guns, and artillery along the border killed both soldiers and civilians. The Battle of Chang Bok in May 2025 lasted only 10 minutes, but the death of a Cambodian soldier seemed to foreshadow the coming storm. Even after Thailand and Cambodia signed the Kuala Lumpur Agreement in October 2025, hopes for a ceasefire remained fragile. In 2026, tensions continued to simmer. Shipping containers, barbed wire, and new guard posts appeared in sensitive areas, prompting strong protests from Phnom Penh, which accused Thailand of trying to change the facts on the ground. While diplomats exchanged official notes, Cambodian farmers continued to walk across minefields covering more than 200 square miles, one of the most densely mined areas in the world. In 2026, small explosions were still being reported as people tried to clear land just to survive. Number 9. Thousands of workers flee scam centers in Cambodia. For nearly a decade, Cambodia has been a regular name in international human rights reports, not for tourism or Angkor heritage, but for a web of online scams as tight as steel mesh. Sihanoukville, once touted as the Dubai of Southeast Asia, has slid into becoming the scam capital of Asia, with closed compounds where thousands of workers are locked up, forced to work 24/7 without earning a single dollar. According to the United Nations, from 2020 to 2023, an estimated 100,000 people in Cambodia alone were trafficked into dark factories. The real number is likely much higher, where romance scams, fake investments, and crypto fraud operate like assembly lines. Reports from 2022 to 2023 estimate global losses from scam headquarters in Cambodia at $7 to $10 billion a year, a figure greater than the GDP of many countries' entire industries. But by 2025 to 2026, something unprecedented happened. International pressure surged in like a storm. The U.S. and UK imposed tough sanctions, culminating on October 14, 2025, when they named tycoon Chen Ji, accusing him of running a multi-billion-dollar transnational scam empire. In early 2026, Chen was arrested and extradited to China, a major shock to the Phnom Penh elite and a clear sign that Western pressure had reached the highest levels. Scam centers began to crack. The Indonesian embassy in Phnom Penh reported 1,440 citizens released, while long lines of Chinese nationals formed at consulates, hoping to return home. Amnesty International confirmed, using satellite imagery, at least 10 escapes and rescues within just a few weeks, something that had never happened before. Some videos showed crowds of people, with scratched hands and bare feet, running from camps as if escaping secret prisons. In some clips, police stood by. In others, there was no one, raising the troubling question, who really controls these places? Then a chilling number emerged, According to the U.S. Institute of Peace, Cambodia's scam industry once generated more than $12.5 billion a year, about half the country's GDP. Cambodia denies any collusion, claiming it never tolerates cybercrime, and Prime Minister Hun Manet has pledged to wipe out the scam industry. But escapees warn, without support, many will be dragged back into another camp, the same vicious cycle as before. Number 8. The rise of virtual wife. Livestream scams. As mentioned earlier, scams in Cambodia are rampant, but one particular scheme stands out and deserves a closer look, one that's hitting American men the hardest: buying a virtual wife via livestream. It may sound funny, but this is a machine designed to target lonely men over 40, guys who just need a warm voice and a gentle look through a screen to start believing in a relationship that could change their life. It all starts with an innocent live stream. A young woman, friendly face, decent English, sharing how she wants to build a future, how she's tired of local men who just drink, and how she's looking for a mature, kind man. Just a few days later, she says she wants to move to the U.S. to be with him, if he'll help with the visa costs, just a few $1,000s. Many send money before they snap out of it. But behind the screen, there's no love, no future, and sometimes, not even a woman. Just young men locked in damp camps, trained like emotional commandos. How to breathe softly when pretending to be moved. How to slow down when confessing love. Even how to create background traffic noise to fake living in a city. In rooms barely 100 square feet, every I love you is scripted. They call these live stream rooms love cubes, tiny boxes mass-producing fake feelings. By 2026, this model hasn't disappeared, it's spreading. Scam rings are leaving Sihanoukville to set up new bases in Osmak, Bavay, and Krongpoi Phet, border towns with strong internet and little oversight. A live stream center just a few thousand square feet can run 40 to 60 virtual girlfriend accounts at once, targeting thousands of men worldwide. Cambodia's 2026 crackdowns have focused on the most dangerous element, the virtual lover training chains. Here, trainees don't learn to hack passwords, they learn how to touch a man's deepest need, the desire to be trusted, needed, and loved. Some investigators describe these places as emotional manipulation academies, not just scam centers. Number 7. Phnom Penh, Cost of Living 2026. In 2026, the cost of living in Phnom Penh remains among the most affordable in Southeast Asia for expats and retirees, with a comfortable lifestyle ranging from about $950 to $1,300 per month. A single person wanting a higher standard, eating out often, living in a Western-style apartment, using convenience services, will spend about $1,200 to $1,800 per month. A retired couple can live quite comfortably on $2,000 to $2,600. The rental market is stable. A one-bedroom apartment downtown costs $320 to $750, while in the suburbs it's just $200 to $350. Utility costs haven't changed much from last year. Electricity is usually $80 to $100, water $5 to $10, and high-speed Wi-Fi about $20. Transportation prices are also stable due to strong competition. Mobile data is still cheap, about $1 per gigabyte, and ride-hailing apps keep prices low to attract customers. Household services like cleaning remain at $30 to $40 per month, almost unchanged for 2 years. However, 2026 isn't entirely cheap. Some cost categories are starting to rise slightly, especially downtown housing, up 5 to 12%. From 2024 to 2025 due to expat demand and new office districts. Imported food has also seen a small increase, about 3 to 5%, due to fluctuating logistics costs at Sihanoukville port. On the other hand, local dining, transportation, and personal services have dropped slightly thanks to competition among providers and tech apps, keeping overall living costs low. Internationally, Phnom Penh is still a bargain, about 46% cheaper than Australia, excluding rent. And with rent included, total costs are over 50% lower. In the region, Phnom Penh's living costs are much lower than most major Thai cities, and equal to or less than some mid-sized Vietnamese cities. Number 6. Floating villages on Tonlé Sap are disappearing. On the vast waters of Tonlé Sap, which once supported more than 15 million Cambodians, a silent disappearance is underway. And it's not just a local phenomenon. Floating villages, 200 to 300 years old, are being forced to leave ancestral homes because the water can't breathe anymore. In 2025 to 2026, water levels hit historic lows, and for the first time, entire communities moved simply because the fish were gone. In the past decade, over 70% of floating houses have left Tonlé Sap, leaving rows of wooden stilts standing alone on cracked earth. But the story doesn't end with the lake. The Mekong's decline is spreading from upstream through all of Cambodia. In 2026, river flow dropped 20 to 30% during the dry season, shrinking Tonlé Sap to its smallest size in a decade. Fish docks that once received 300 to 400 tons of freshwater fish daily now see only a few scattered boats. As the Mekong weakens, Tonlé Sap's heartbeat is thrown off. The lake's famous reverse flow, the world's only hydrological phenomenon of its kind, is now delayed by 3 to 4 weeks and sometimes happens only half the time, a rare disruption in 1,200 years. When Tonlé Sap reverses at the wrong time, the chain of lakes and wetlands across Cambodia, which rely on the mother lake's rise and fall, begin to die off. This is most visible in the capital. Phnom Penh, which once had dozens of natural lakes for water regulation and flood control, has lost more than 20 in just 15 years due to rapid landfilling. Boeng Tamok, the last large natural lake, is shrinking under urban projects. Experts warn, if Tonlé Sap weakens and urban lakes vanish at the same time, Phnom Penh could face historic flooding in the next 50 years, as the city will have nowhere to breathe during the rainy season. Number 5. Siem Reap's shift, from mass tourism to high-end travel. In 2026, Siem Reap is undergoing a complete transformation. The city, once fueled by one-day three temples tour groups, is abandoning mass tourism, the model that overwhelmed Angkor before 2019. Cheap tours have dropped by up to 40% compared to pre-pandemic levels, replaced by a new Siem Reap focused on high-end, sustainable, experience-rich tourism. Around Angkor Wat, paraglamping sites deep in the forest, eco-lodges, small safaris, and e-bike jungle tours are popping up, attracting European and American travelers willing to pay more for peace, privacy, and a close-to-nature experience. Yet alongside this upscale image is a very Cambodian paradox. In 2026, the country is still one of Asia's most cash-based economies. Even as fintech booms in Phnom Penh, 86% of transactions are still in cash, and even large stores often display cash-only signs. Locals explain simply, money in the wallet is safer than money on the phone. For tourists, this creates a quirky experience. You might stay at an international standard resort but still have to pay with a wad of riel, just like it's 1995. Meanwhile, Cambodia is tightening foreigner management. The new 2026 immigration law requires clearer visa documentation and stricter financial checks, causing the wave of digital nomads who flocked to Phnom Penh from 2020 to 2022 to drop sharply. Cambodia wants to attract high-quality visitors, but also to limit the easy entry that was exploited by illegal labor groups. In return, the country is investing heavily in pristine destinations, aiming to become the region's new nature tourism hotspot. Phnom Kulen is now a trekking star in Southeast Asia, with thousand-year-old forests and majestic waterfalls. The Kulen Elephant Forest is being developed with a no-riding model. Ancient temples like Bante Chmar, Sambor Praekuk, and Ko Ker are drawing visitors with their untouched, minimally restored beauty. On the southern coast, Koh Rong and Samlam are emerging as budget Maldives alternatives. Mondulkiri, Krati, the Cardamom Mountains, and Ko Ker all are shaping the image of Cambodia 2026, a country shedding mass tourism, but keeping the wildness that international travelers crave. Number 4. Smart Phnom Penh 2030. Accelerating the Smart City Plan. Amid the urban rush, Phnom Penh is entering an unprecedented phase of rapid development. The Smart Phnom Penh 2030 plan is being fast-tracked by 4 years. The city is installing 1,500 to 2,000 more security cameras, water-level sensors for flood alerts, and piloting real-time AI waste management systems. With today's urbanization rate, Phnom Penh is almost rebuilding itself faster than residents can adapt. By 2026, the city has over 170 high-rise projects active or under construction, making Phnom Penh the fastest building capital in Indochina. The Ko Peach Diamond Island area is the clearest example. Its population has tripled in just 5 years, turning a once quiet artificial island into a crowded hub of condos, malls, and glass towers, reflecting the sun like a mini Singapore. But this construction boom also brings a dark side, and Cambodia is paying the price for rapid growth. In Sihanoukville, more than 70 buildings, at 20 to 40 stories tall, stand empty. Unfinished towers, elevators not installed, dusty glass facades, all make the city's skyline the largest ghost skyline in Southeast Asia. The strangest transformation is in the Chinese towns that boomed from 2018 to 2020. Back then, thousands of Chinese-run shops, casinos, and complexes mushroomed everywhere. But after tighter regulations, China's real estate crisis, and anti-scam crackdowns, many urban areas in Cambodia are now in limbo. Chinese signs still glow, but the people are gone. From 2024 to 2026, many places have become little ghost Chinatowns, neighborhoods with the look of international tourism, but missing the one thing needed to live: residents. Number 3. Cambodia's Revenge of the Dead Festival, Pchum Ben. Amid all this modern change, Cambodia, in 2026, still keeps one of Southeast Asia's oldest and most mysterious rituals, a Pchum Ben, which Khmer people casually call the Revenge of the Dead Festival. For 15 days, when the gates to the afterlife open, people believe ancestral spirits and wandering ghosts can only eat during this period. So over 90% of Khmer still practice a unique custom: throwing food, rice, cakes, and fruit into bushes, cemeteries, or dark corners of temples to feed the hungry spirits. They believe if this isn't done, the spirits will become angry and bring bad luck to the family. Pchum Ben is just one slice of Cambodia's rich festival scene. Sacred, a little strange, and reflecting the blend of Buddhism and folk beliefs. Another highlight is Bonam Tuk, the water festival every November, when Cambodians celebrate the rare moment Tonlé sap reverses its flow. Phnom Penh turns into a giant stage with colorful boat races, war drums, and millions lining the Mekong River. After 2 years canceled due to low water, Bonam Tuk 2026 is expected to draw the decade's largest crowds. A more royal ritual is the royal plowing ceremony in Phnom Penh. Here, the king personally performs symbolic seed sowing, and sacred oxen choose crops to forecast the harvest. While it sounds mystical, Khmer farmers in 2026 still watch the ceremony's results like a traditional agricultural news report. Siem Reap also hosts the youth festival Angkor Sankranta, Khmer New Year. In 2026, this event is expanding with 3D light shows on Angkor Thom, folk games, Robam circle dances, and fireworks lasting an hour. It's the only festival that draws tens of thousands of young Cambodians to Angkor to celebrate their own culture. Number 2. Second highest deforestation rate in Southeast Asia, Cambodia's green crisis. While many Mekong countries are racing to restore forests, Cambodia enters 2026 with a record nobody wants: the second highest deforestation rate in Southeast Asia. Satellite data from Global Forest Watch shows that from 2000 to 2025, Cambodia lost over 28% of its natural forest, an area the size of a small country like Slovenia. Worse, this trend hasn't stopped in 2026. Illegal logging, converting forest to farmland, and land concessions to businesses remain the biggest threats to the Mekong's ecosystem. In Prey, Lang Forest, one of Cambodia's last major rainforests. Tens of thousands of acres have been lost in just 5 years. Researchers say they no longer hear bird songs from species once common, a sign the ecosystem is collapsing from within. Part of the reason is the rapid expansion of agriculture and real estate. In 2026, provinces like Kampong Thom, Preah Vihear, and Mondulkiri are seeing forests cleared for cashew, durian, and rubber, crops in high demand in China and Thailand. Many indigenous communities say they're being pushed deeper into the forest, losing farmland and natural food sources that have sustained them for generations. Meanwhile, illegal logging is most active at night. Conservation groups report that valuable woods like sokrum, thnong, and rosewood are smuggled across the Laos and Vietnam borders on back routes, making enforcement nearly impossible. Losing forests has clear climate impacts. Once cool areas like Mondulkiri and Rattanakkiri have seen temperatures rise 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit in a decade. The rainy season comes later, droughts last longer, and flash floods on bare hillsides are more severe. This creates a destruction spiral. Forest loss weakens the land. Floods get worse. People are forced to clear more forest, and the cycle repeats. Number 1. Ream Naval Base, Asia's new geopolitical hotspot in 2026. From 2024 to 2026, commercial satellite images and international research show new runways, expanded docks, and technical buildings rising at unprecedented speed. The base's footprint is said to have doubled in just 2 years. These changes have turned Ream from a small coastal naval base into a focal point for the US, China, and all of ASEAN. The issue isn't Cambodia upgrading the base, but suspicions that China is deeply involved in its construction. Although Phnom Penh and Beijing repeatedly insist Ream is not for any single country, Washington still views it as one of Southeast Asia's most sensitive strategic sites. Located on Cambodia's southern coast, Ream sits right at the junction of the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand, an international shipping route every major power wants to influence. Ream's expansion is clearly shifting the region's security balance. Military analysts say the new dock is big enough for destroyer-sized ships. The longer runway suits transport planes or maritime patrol aircraft, and new technical buildings suggest possible far-sea surveillance capability. While Cambodia says Ream is for national defense capacity, many experts see a bigger picture: the quiet military rivalry between the US and China playing out on the soil of a small nation. What makes Ream special isn't its size, it's the location. A base here means you can watch naval activity around the Gulf of Thailand, monitor shipping lanes to the Malacca Strait, and quickly reach the southern South China Sea. That's why every new satellite photo of Ream is scrutinized by think tanks from Washington and Tokyo to Singapore. Cambodia in 2026 is like two worlds colliding at once. One world is burning, with tense borders, vanishing forests, a dying Mekong, and the shadow of the scam industry. The other is rising, with high-end tourism, smart cities, revived cultural heritage, and grassroots Khmer efforts to rebuild. The truths you've just read aren't just random fragments. They're pieces of a bigger picture showing Cambodia at a crossroads of survival. Either collapse into chaos or enter the strongest rebirth in 30 years. So, where do you think Cambodia is headed in the next decade? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe for the next episode.